What's up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. We are on the path to finding the best stocks from the utilities sector, and there are quite a few names in the regulated electric industry. So for today's dividend comparison I've picked 3 names, and we'll check which of those is worth adding into our portfolio. So first one is American Electric Power Company, ticker symbol AEP. On the year to date the stock is up for 10.77%. And zooming out to 5 years, that is a bit better, plus 27.59%. AEP is the largest name for today's comparison with a market cap of $50.4 billion, and the stock is now trading at a dividend yield of 3.38%. Now the second name today is Xcel Energy, ticker symbol XEL. It is the one utility stock we are currently holding in our dividend portfolio. On the year to date, the stock is just up for 2.56%, but zooming out to 5 years, there has been way more growth, plus 36.09%. Company's market cap is at $38 billion, and it is now trading at a dividend yield of 2.8%. And lastly, the third name is Consolidated Edison, ticker symbol ED. On the year to date, the stock is up for 14.32%, but zooming out to 5 years, performance is going worse, only up for 9.45%. Company's market cap is at $34.54 billion, and we now have a dividend yield of 3.25%. So these 3 will be the stocks for today's dividend comparison, and to perform that we'll use my table in Google Sheets. So I've prepared this table with the ticker symbols already in, and for today's comparison we'll take a look into 5 different metrics: dividend yield, dividend payout ratio, years of consecutive dividend increases, 5-year compound annual dividend growth rate, and the current dividend yield compared to its 5-year average. We'll take the numbers on all these metrics under each ticker, and then compare those in between. The best result gets a point for that metric, then we'll sum the points up, and in the end the stock with the most points will be considered the winner of this dividend comparison. I hope that the rules were clear, and an early thumbs up would be very much appreciated, and with that out of the way, let's start. So the first metric is the dividend yield. It is calculated by taking the annual dividend per share and dividing it by the share price. American Electric Power Company is currently paying an annual dividend of $3.42 per share, so at a price of $97.86, that is a dividend yield of 3.39%. Now Xcel Energy, their dividend is at $1.95, so at a share price of $69.66, we here have a dividend yield of 2.91%. And lastly, Consolidated Edison, the dividend here is at $3.16, so at a price of $97.22, we have a dividend yield of 3.26%. For the second metric, we have the dividend payout ratio. The percentage here shows what part of company's earnings are being used to pay dividends. So for AEP, we now have the dividend payout ratio at 62.66%, meaning that over 3/5 of company's earnings are being used to pay dividends. Now Xcel Energy, and their payout ratio is at 57.69%, so here just under 3/5 of company's earnings are being used to pay dividends. And lastly, Consolidated Edison, with a dividend payout ratio of 65.54%, so also over 3/5 of company's earnings are being used for the dividend. Metric number 3 are the years of consecutive dividend increases. So for how many years the company has been increasing dividends consistently for at least 1 quarter every year. With American Electric Power Company, they have been increasing dividends straight for the last 12 years. Now Xcel, and they have been increasing dividends for the last 18 years. And lastly, Consolidated Edison, with 48 years of consecutive dividend increases. Metric number 4 is compound annual dividend growth rate. For this comparison, we'll take the 5-year average, including the next year's estimate. So for AEP, we have the 5-year compound annual dividend growth rate at 5.59%. Switching to XEL, where their dividend growth rate is at 5.11%. And lastly, Consolidated Edison, with a 5-year dividend growth rate of 2.02%. For the last metric, we have the current dividend yield compared to its 5-year average. And for that we'll use my dividend investing watchlist on Google Sheets. So we are now in the tab for AEP, and here is their dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years. Out of it, we calculate that in 5 years on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 3.3%. So the best time to get into the stock was back in 2018 at a yield of 3.77%, higher than the 5-year average for 14.47%, and the worst one was in 2020 at 2.67%, below average for exactly 19%. But if we would be getting into the stock right now at a dividend yield of 3.45%, that is just a bit higher than the 5-year average plus 4.67%. So this is here the number that we will be comparing. Now let's take Xcel. We have its dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years, and on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 2.78%. So the best yield was back in 2018 at 3.41, higher than average for 22.87%, and worst one was in the middle of 2020 at 2.42%, below average for 12.8%. But if we would be getting into the stock right now at a dividend yield of 2.83%, that is over the average for 1.97%. And lastly, we have Consolidated Edison. Here is its dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years, and on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 3.64%. So the best yield was in the beginning of 2021 at 4.34%, above average for 19.12%, and then worst one was in 2022 at 3.11%, under average for 14.64%. But if we are getting into the stock right now at a dividend yield of 3.24%, that is still under the 5-year average, minus 11.07%. So we got the numbers for our dividend comparison. If you would be interested in doing a similar analysis on another dividend-paying stock yourself, you are able to access this watchlist by following the first link at the top of the description. Otherwise, feel free to add a ticker symbol in a comment below, and I'll consider adding that into the watchlist myself. Maybe you could share some interesting opportunity available in the market that I'm still missing. So we went through the 5 metrics and now the numbers are in. We can start assigning points. First point goes to American Electric Power Company with the highest dividend yield of 3.39%, a point to Xcel Energy with the lowest dividend payout ratio at 57.69%, Consolidated Edison gets a point for 48 years of consecutive dividend increases, another point to AEP for the 5-year dividend growth rate of 5.59%, and the last point to American Electric Power Company, where its dividend yield is 4.67% higher than its 5-year average. So the points are assigned and we can calculate results. AEP got 3 points, Xcel 1, and DD also 1. This means that with 3 points, American Electric Power Company is now considered the winner of this dividend comparison. Now I am currently holding one utilities name Xcel Energy, ticker symbol XEL. The position was started this year to increase my exposure in the sector, but after the comparison, it seems that we could change it up for another stock that has better metrics than this one here. Otherwise, it could also be interesting to make a further analysis into AEP first. Maybe that could help us decide if it's actually worth switching these names up. What do you think? Should we sell out of XCL and buy into AEP? Share your utilities pick in a comment below. Also, don't forget to support the channel and leave a thumbs up under the video. Last week I've looked into several other companies, so if you are interested in any of these, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side, thank you for watching and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.